My mother smiled while signing papers that were supposed to protect me. She didn't know I had already rewritten the ending. Everyone thought she was perfect. Soft voice, graceful posture, always dressed like she belonged in a charity gala. People used to say, "You're lucky your mother sacrificed everything for you." I used to believe that too, until the day I saw my own signature on a document I had never signed. At first, I told myself it was a mistake, a clerical error, a typo, something boring and harmless. But mistakes don't repeat themselves, and they don't move millions. It started with a call. A calm, professional voice from the bank asked me to confirm a transaction. I didn't understand the number he mentioned. It was too big, too distant from my reality. I told him there must be confusion. I didn't authorize anything. He paused, then said something that didn't leave my mind for days. "Miss, we have your verified signature on file." That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't confront her. I just sat in my room, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of my life where I trusted her blindly. And for the first time, I asked myself a question I was too afraid to think before. What if my mother isn't protecting me, but controlling me? The next morning, she made breakfast. Just like always. Warm tea, soft smile, gentle eyes. "Eat before it gets cold," she said. I looked at her hands. Those same hands that tucked me in at night. Those same hands that signed my name without permission. I smiled back, softly, exactly like her. And that's when everything changed. Not loudly, not dramatically, silently. I started observing, not accusing, not reacting, just watching. Every phone call she took in private, every document she locked away, every time she avoided eye contact when money was mentioned. Patterns started forming, and patterns never lie. 3 weeks later, I found the first account, offshore, hidden behind a corporate name I had never heard of. But the beneficiary was me, or at least it was supposed to be. I remember my hands shaking not from fear, from clarity, because betrayal hurts less when it finally makes sense. I didn't confront her, because confrontation gives them time to fix their mistakes. And I wasn't interested in fixing anything. I was interested in ending it, permanently. So I became patient, painfully patient. Every night, I studied legal structures, trust laws, inheritance clauses, things she thought I'd never understand, things she built her entire illusion on. And slowly, I realized something terrifying. She wasn't stealing randomly. She was doing it systematically, carefully, like someone who had been planning this for years. And the most disturbing part? She never looked guilty. Not once. One evening, she sat next to me, placed her hand on my shoulder. "You don't need to worry about money," she said gently. "I've taken care of everything for your future." I looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't see a mother. I saw a strategist. So I decided to become one too. I hired a lawyer, quietly, through a third party under a name she didn't know. I didn't tell him everything at first. I just asked one question. What's the strongest way to protect a trust from the person managing it? He didn't answer immediately. He just looked at me carefully, like he already understood more than I was saying. Then he said, "Create a structure that even you can't break." That sentence stayed with me, even me. And that's when the plan was born. Not revenge. No. Something much colder, much cleaner. For the next 2 months, I played my role perfectly. The obedient daughter, the grateful one, the one who trusted her mother completely. I even thanked her for handling everything. And she relaxed. That was the mistake. Because when people believe they've already won, they stop being careful. She started moving money more aggressively, signing faster, transferring larger amounts, thinking no one was watching. But I was. Every transaction, every document, every forged signature. I collected everything, silently. And then, I did something she never expected. I gave her more control. I told her I didn't want to deal with finances at all, that it stressed me, that I trusted her completely. I even signed additional authorization papers, voluntarily. Her eyes lit up, not with love, with relief, with opportunity. That night, she hugged me longer than usual, and I realized something chilling. She wasn't hugging me. She was hugging the access. And that's when I knew I had everything I needed. The trust fund, the accounts, the evidence, the pattern, the motive. Now, I just needed the stage. So I created one. Her birthday, big celebration. Family, friends, business partners, everyone who believed in her, everyone who admired her, everyone who called her the perfect mother. She loved the attention. She always did. The room was full. Laughter, music, champagne glasses clinking. She stood in the center glowing, like nothing could touch her. And then I asked for the microphone. She smiled proudly. "Say something," she whispered. "Make me proud." I smiled back, softly, just like her. "I want to thank my mother," I began. The room quieted, all eyes on us, for always taking care of my future. She nodded, commotional. People smiled. Some even clapped. I paused, just long enough. And for teaching me something very important. Silence. How easy it is to steal from your own child when she trusts you completely. The room froze. Her smile didn't disappear immediately. It cracked, slowly, like glass under pressure. And that's when I pressed play. The screen behind her lit up. Documents, signatures, transactions, dates, amounts, everything. Every forged signature, every hidden account, every move she thought no one would ever see. Gasps filled the room. Whispers, shock, disbelief. She turned toward me, eyes wide, silent. And I just stood there, calm, still, untouchable. "I didn't come here to accuse you," I said quietly. "I came here to show everyone the truth that you spent years hiding." Someone dropped a glass. The sound echoed. Her reputation was collapsing in real time. But that wasn't the real punishment. No, that was just the beginning. Because while everyone was watching her fall, something else had already happened. Something she hadn't realized yet. Something irreversible. I leaned closer, just enough so only she could hear me. "I locked it," I whispered. Her breath stopped. "The trust, every account, every asset, all of it is sealed behind a structure you can't touch anymore." Her face went pale, not from embarrassment, from fear. "You built this system to control me," I continued softly. "I just made sure it controls you instead." And for the first time in my life, I saw her powerless. Completely. But then, she did something I didn't expect. She smiled. Not broken, not desperate, calculated, and leaned closer to me, whispering something that made my heart stop for a second. You think you found everything? The room was still watching her fall, but suddenly, I realized something terrifying. What if this wasn't the whole truth? What if I was only seeing the surface? And what if she had been planning something far bigger this entire time? Her smile didn't fade. It deepened. Not the kind of smile you give when you're caught. The kind you give when someone finally steps into the trap you've been preparing. You think you found everything, she whispered again. And just like that, the control I had built so carefully shifted. Not broken, just questioned. I didn't react. Not externally. That was the rule I made for myself from the beginning. No matter what she says, you don't give her your emotions. You don't give her your panic. You don't give her anything. So I leaned back slightly, still holding the microphone. Still in control, at least on the surface. People were staring at her now. Not with admiration, but with doubt. Whispers were spreading like fire. But she wasn't looking at them anymore.
She was looking at me.
Only me. And then she spoke. Out loud. Soft, calm, terrifying. You've grown up, she said. The room went silent again. I always wondered when you'd finally notice. Wait, what? That wasn't fear. That wasn't denial. That was acknowledgement. I tightened my grip on the mic, just slightly. You don't deny it? I asked quietly. She laughed. Not loudly. Just enough for everyone to hear the confidence in it. Deny what? That I protected what was always mine to manage. The room shifted again. Confusion. Some people exchanged looks. Her words were dangerous. Because they weren't a confession. They were a narrative. And narratives win crowds. You forged my signature, I said. Simple.
Clear.
Undeniable. She tilted her head, almost impressed. Yes, she said. A few gasps. But not for the reasons you think. There it was. The second layer. I stayed silent. Let her speak. Because sometimes the best way to expose someone is to give them space. She stepped forward, into the light, into the attention she had always loved. You all think this is about greed, she said, addressing the room. But none of you know the full story. I felt it, that shift again. The dangerous one, where truth and manipulation start blending. Tell them, I said calmly. Go ahead. She smiled at me again.
Proud.
Almost. The trust fund, she began, was never safe. That sentence hit something deep, because for a second I didn't know if she was lying. There were clauses, she continued, conditions your father put in place before he died. My father, a name she rarely used, a subject she always avoided. I didn't interrupt, but inside, everything sharpened. He didn't trust the system, she said. He didn't trust the people around him. Her eyes flicked toward a few faces in the crowd. Subtle, but intentional. So he built layers, she said. Complicated ones.
I felt it then.
The third layer. The one I hadn't accounted for. And those layers, she continued softly, could have destroyed everything if triggered. My heartbeat slowed, not faster, slower, because fear isn't loud. Real fear is quiet. What layers? I asked.
She paused.
Just enough, then said something that shifted everything again. Penalty triggers. The room didn't understand, but I did, or at least, I started to. If certain patterns were detected, she continued, unauthorized access, external interference. The entire fund could have been frozen indefinitely. Wait. I felt it. A crack. Not in my plan. In my certainty. And you think you protected it? She asked softly, looking straight into me. I didn't answer. Not yet. Because suddenly, I remembered something. A clause. A small one. Buried in the legal documents I studied. I thought it was irrelevant. Technical. I ignored it. And now, it didn't feel irrelevant anymore. You were moving money, I said carefully. Transferring it. Yes, she replied, before someone else could.
Who? I asked.
She didn't answer. Immediately. And that delay was louder than anything she had said so far. Because it meant one thing. There was someone else. The room didn't matter anymore. The audience, the whispers, the broken image of her reputation, none of it mattered in that moment. Because suddenly, this wasn't just about betrayal. This was about something bigger, something hidden, something I hadn't seen. You should have come to me, she said quietly. I almost smiled. Almost. No, I replied softly. If I came to you, I would still be blind. For a second, her eyes softened, just slightly, and then hardened again. You think you're in control, she said, but you activated something. There it was, the confirmation. My mind started connecting everything.
Fast, precise, cold.
The sudden increase in her transfers, the urgency, the pattern shift I noticed, it wasn't greed. It was pressure. From something or someone.
Who is it?
I asked again. This time, not for the audience. For me. She looked at me. Really looked. For the first time that night. Without performance. Without control. And then she said something that changed the entire game. It's not who. It's what. A pause. Heavy. A legal entity, she continued. One your father created. One that doesn't belong to you. Or me. The air felt different.
Heavier.
And if it decides, she whispered, that the fund is compromised. It won't just freeze it. It will erase it. Silence.
Complete.
Erase? That wasn't normal. That wasn't standard. That was extreme. And suddenly, my perfect plan, my perfect execution, felt like it might have triggered something I didn't fully understand. But I didn't panic. I couldn't, because panic is loud, and loud people
lose.
So I did the only thing that ever worked. I stayed still. And then I smiled. Slowly, deliberately. Then we'll see who built the better system, I said quietly. Her eyes narrowed. Because she realized something in that moment. I wasn't stepping back. I was stepping deeper into a game that was no longer just between her and me. And somewhere beyond both of us, something else was already watching. I didn't look at the crowd anymore. They were irrelevant now. The whispers, the shock, her collapsing image, all distractions. Because the real game had just revealed itself. And it wasn't playing for reputation. It was playing for control. She said it could erase everything. Not freeze, not lock.
Erase.
That word stayed in my mind like a quiet alarm. Because systems don't erase without purpose. They erase when they're designed to eliminate risk. And right now, that risk was me. I stepped down from the stage slowly. No rush. No panic. Every movement controlled. People moved out of my way without realizing it, like something invisible was guiding them. My phone vibrated.
Once.
Unknown number. I didn't answer. Not yet. Because timing is power. I walked past her, close enough to feel her breath. She didn't stop me, didn't grab my arm, didn't try to explain. She knew. Whatever this was now, we were both inside it. I stepped outside. The noise of the party faded behind me, replaced by something quieter, colder. My phone vibrated again. Same number. This time, I answered. Missed, a voice said.
Calm.
Measured. Almost artificial in its precision. We need to discuss the structural breach you initiated. No introduction. No confusion. Just confirmation. I don't discuss anything without knowing who I'm talking to, I replied. A pause.
Short.
Calculated. You can refer to us as the custodian entity, the voice said. Entity, not firm, not company. Entity. I leaned against the wall, eyes closed for a second, not to escape, to think. My father created you, I said. Yes. No hesitation, no denial. Then you exist to protect the trust. Another pause. We exist to preserve the integrity of the structure, the voice corrected. Not the same thing. Integrity over ownership. And I compromised it? I asked. You altered the behavioral pattern of the primary administrator. The system flagged it as an anomaly. Primary administrator. My mother. So her sudden movements, her aggressive transfers, they weren't random. They were monitored. And I triggered the alert. I exhaled slowly. Not frustration, just recalibration. What happens now? I asked. Silence. Longer this time. Evaluation, the voice said. If the system determines malicious intent, the structure will initiate asset neutralization. There it was again. Different word. Same meaning. Erase. And if it doesn't? I asked. Then control will be reassigned. To who?
I didn't ask.
Because I already knew the answer. To the one who proves control. I opened my eyes, looked back toward the glass doors of the hall. I could see her silhouette inside, still surrounded, still being watched.
But now,
I wasn't looking at her as the enemy. I was looking at her as competition. How long do I have? I asked. 48 hours. A deadline. Of course. You've been observing us, I said. Why didn't you intervene before? We don't interfere with internal dynamics, the voice replied. We respond to structural threats.
Cold.
Efficient. No morality. No emotion. Just rules. Then let me ask you something, I said quietly. Yes. What defines control? The silence that followed was different.
Heavier.
Consistency, the voice said finally. Precision. Predictability under pressure. I smiled. Not because it was comforting, because it was familiar. That's exactly how I operated. Then you've been watching the wrong person, I said softly. I ended the call. No goodbye. No hesitation. Because now, the game had rules. And rules
can be used.
I walked back inside.
Slow.
Steady. The room shifted again when I entered. People moved. Eyes followed. Whispers grew louder. But I ignored all of it. I walked straight toward her. She was still standing there,
calm, composed.
like nothing had broken. When our eyes met, there was no anger, just understanding. You spoke to them, she said quietly. I nodded. How long? She asked. 48 hours. She smiled slightly, not surprised. They're fast, she said. They're precise, I corrected. A small pause. Then she leaned closer. Then you finally understand, she whispered. This was never just about money. I didn't reply, because she was right. Money was just the surface. Control was the real currency. So what now? She asked. I looked at her, really looked, and for the first time, I saw something different. Not manipulation, not greed.
Fear. Not of me.
Of losing. Now, I said softly, we stopped playing separately. Her eyes narrowed. What are you suggesting? She asked. Temporary alignment, I replied. She almost laughed. You exposed me in front of everyone, she said. And now you want to work together? Yes. No hesitation. Because this wasn't emotional. It was strategic. They're not testing loyalty, I continued. They're testing control. She went silent, thinking, calculating. And if we both fail? She asked. I held her gaze. Then neither of us owns anything. The truth. Simple. Cold. She looked away for a second. Not weakness. Evaluation. Then back at me. You've changed, she said quietly. I tilted my head slightly. No, I replied. I just stopped being predictable. A pause. Then she smiled. Not warm, not kind.
Equal.
All right, she said. 48 hours. And just like that, the war shifted. From betrayal to alliance. But not trust. Never trust. Because alliances are just slower betrayals. And deep down, I knew one thing for sure. By the end of these 48 hours, only one of us would still be in control. And this time, I wasn't just playing against her. I was playing against something designed to never lose. 48 hours, that's all we had. Not to fix anything, not to rebuild trust, but to prove control. We didn't go home together. We didn't talk like mother and daughter. We moved like two professionals assigned to the same problem. That night, I reviewed everything again. Every document, every transaction, every clause I once ignored. And this time, I didn't read it like a victim. I read it like the system itself. Patterns, triggers, responses. The entity didn't care about emotion. It cared about behavior, consistency, which meant one thing. It wasn't judging what we did. It was judging how we did it. At 3:12 a.m., I found it. A behavioral threshold clause. Buried deep. Almost invisible. If conflicting control patterns are detected, the system escalates evaluation priority. Conflicting patterns. That's why the alert triggered. Not just because of her actions, but because of mine. Two controllers pulling in different directions. That was the breach. I leaned back slowly, closed my eyes, then smiled, because that meant we didn't need to fight the system. We needed to become one pattern. Morning came fast. When I saw her again, there was no tension, no anger, just understanding. You found it, she said. I nodded. Conflicting patterns, I replied. She exhaled quietly, almost relieved.
So now you know, she said.
Yes, I answered. And now we fix it. She raised an eyebrow. How? She asked. I stepped closer, lowered my voice. We become predictable. She frowned slightly. No sudden transfers, no irregular access, no emotional decisions. Everything aligned. She stared at me,
Studying.
and then she asked. I paused, just for a second. Then we let it choose, I said. Her eyes sharpened. You're trusting it? She asked. No, I replied softly. I'm guiding it. A long silence followed, because she understood. We weren't just stabilizing the system. We were performing for it. Every action, every delay, every move had to feel natural, controlled.
Perfect.
For the next 36 hours, we didn't argue. We didn't question. We executed. Transactions reversed, legally, gradually. Accounts stabilized. Patterns normalized. Every move mirrored. Two minds, one rhythm. And slowly, the pressure shifted. No more alerts. No more anomalies. Silence. System silence. But silence can mean two things. Or decision. On the final night, we sat across from each other. No audience. No masks. Just two people who knew exactly what the other was capable of. You plan to destroy me, she said quietly. I didn't deny it. Yes. She nodded. I would have done the same, she replied. That didn't hurt. It confirmed everything. At least now, she added, we understand each other. I looked at her. No, I said softly. Now we see each other.
A pause.
Then her phone vibrated. At the same time, mine did too. We didn't rush. We didn't panic. We just looked. Same message. Evaluation complete. No explanation. No details. Just one instruction. Control reassigned. Silence filled the room. She looked at me. I looked at her. And for a moment, neither of us moved. Then I checked the access panel. Everything was unlocked, but not for both of us. Only one primary controller remained. My name.
Clear.
Final. Irreversible. I didn't smile. I didn't celebrate. Because winning wasn't the point anymore.
Control was.
She leaned back slowly. No anger. No breakdown. Just acceptance. You outplayed me, she said quietly. I shook my head. No, I replied. I outlasted you. A small difference, but everything depends on it. She nodded, then stood up. For a second, I thought she would say something else, explain, apologize. But she didn't. She just walked past me and stopped at the door. Without turning back, she said something that stayed with me long after. You think this ends here? A pause. It doesn't. Then she left. And just like that, the house felt different. Quieter. Not empty. Controlled. I stood there alone, with access to everything.
The trust.
The accounts. The system. All of it. But I didn't move immediately, because I had learned something through all of this. Control isn't loud. It doesn't rush. It waits. Days passed. No calls. No messages. No sign of her. And then, one evening, I received a notification. A new file, uploaded to the system. No sender, no trace. Just a title. Secondary structure. My fingers paused above the screen. For a second, I considered ignoring it. But curiosity is the most dangerous trigger. So I opened it. Documents loaded. Old ones. Older than the trust itself. And at the bottom, a single line that made everything shift one last time. In the event of primary controller consolidation, a secondary authority may activate. My heartbeat slowed. Not fast. Controlled. Because I already knew, before reading the name. I scrolled down, and there it was. Her name. Still inside the system. Still part of the structure. Not as administrator. Something else. Something hidden. Something waiting. I leaned back slowly, and for the first time since all of this began, I smiled. Not because I won, but because the game was never meant to end. It just changed levels.